Ambassador John Nicolas, thank you for very, very kind words. Never thought they'd be directed at me ever since I first heard of it. But thank you for this. Mr. Manny Pangilinan, Mr. Washington D.C, and Mr. Maurice Greenberg, Senator Lugar, was here previously, distinguished members of the U.S. House of Representatives present, State Assistant Secretary Kurt Campbell, members of the Philippine delegation, Secretary Albert Rosario, Ambassador Joey Felicia, Secretary Cesar Purisima, Greg Domingo, Moni Menes, Miguel Vendras, Vicky Carandang, and of course, Honorable Miguel Perez Rubio, members of the board of the US-Philippine Society, Filipino American Community Leaders present, honored guests, mga pong kababayan, Chairman, good evening. Since the turn of the last century, when Mark Twain and his fellow anti-imperialists spoke up for fairness and decency in Philippine-American relations, our country has always been able to count on good and loyal friends amongst the American people. This is a relationship that was underscored in the Second World War and even during martial law as a deep and continuing friendship based on shared principles and values. Today, we mark the latest manifestation of this bond, the launch of the US-Philippine Society, which seeks to enhance the ties that bind our two countries. And today is also an incredibly apt and exciting time to be having this launch, as the Philippines has recovered its optimism and hope. It is also very timely that tonight I had the pleasure of conferring on Senator Lugar a truly well-deserved honor, the Order of La Candula. Senator Lugar is popularly known for his principled and consistent support for Philippine freedom, democracy, the peace process, and the strengthening of Philippine defense capabilities. Just 2 years ago, Filipinos once again showed the world just how much power the people do indeed hold in their hands. This time, they did so not by taking to the streets, but by participating in an act that defines the very spirit of a democratic government. They did so through the electoral process. Millions of our countrymen flocked to balloting stations in May of 2010 and made a collective decision. It was about time to change their country. These voters were driven by the principle that defines the bedrock of my administration's agenda of good governance. And that is, if we can stamp out corruption in our country, then we can free our countrymen from the shackles of poverty. As public servants, that was our marching order: end corruption so that we can end poverty. And so when we took office in July of 2010, we hit the ground running. The strategy was simple: create a level playing field. Let's get more businesses to set up here by sticking to the true time-tested formula for success. Connections and the willingness to bend the rules went out the window. Success became about hard work, ingenuity, and innovation. We're making sure that those who fall in line get what they're lining up for without anyone coming in. We're making sure that when these businesses do set up here and set up in the Philippines and grow the economy, each and every Filipino feels it, not just a very small minority. We worked long nights with these intentions at heart, and not surprisingly, please look at where we find ourselves now. In less than 2 years, we have emerged from a dark decade with a winning attitude and a truly cooperative approach to problem solving. Respected analysts like those at HSBC are predicting that at the rate we're going, will be the 16th largest world economy come 2050. Hopefully, I will reach that point. After conducting surveys with companies in the Asia-Oceania region, the Japan External Trade Organization has named us the best place to do business in all of Asia, whether in manufacturing or in service. Many of you may have heard that the Philippine economy grew 6.4% in the first quarter of 2012. And my economic team tells me that this is just the beginning. They expect better numbers come the succeeding quarters. And I did remind them that I do have a very, very good memory. This is the highest growth rate in ASEAN for that period and the second highest in all of Asia. We've likewise been on the receiving end of 7 positive credit ratings actions from known credit ratings agencies such as Standard & Poor's, Fitch, and the Japan Credit Ratings Agency. The latest being a credit outlook upgrade from Moody's announced just last week. Many of these reports have cited our anti-corruption efforts. Please look at the Philippine Stock Exchange Index, which many consider to be an early indicator of economic performance. We have seen it break records that we didn't consider reachable just 2 years ago. We breached the 4,000 mark and then the 5,000 mark not long after. For those keeping score, that's about 27 record highs in less than 23 months in office. But of course, focusing on the economy requires counterpart effort in fighting corruption, which is why I am glad to report the good news extends to our to our crusade to bring back integrity in government. You must know by now that the Philippine Senate convicted Mr. Renato Corona and removed him from the position of Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. This was done through a constitutional, peaceful, and credible process worthy of a rapidly maturing democracy. This is a giant progressive step for our nation, especially since in today's global environment, a culture of transparency and accountability is a major competitive advantage. Now, judicial reform is fast becoming a reality. Now, our people will begin to get used to a government where public officials are held to a higher standard. It is true, these past 2 years have been quite successful for us, but the amount of work we have left remains significant. Our war against poverty is definitely far from over. There are still corrupt officials out there who will be caught and tried and incarcerated by a court of law. And of course, there is that issue that has arisen in the West-Philippine Sea. On this issue, our position has always been very clear. We pledge to do right by our people, and we pledge to be a responsible member of the community of nations. Right now, we are engaged in bilateral dialogue to find a mutually beneficial way to break the impasse. And we fully intend to come up with a solution that will maintain the peace and stability in the region, while at the same time upholding the dignity and sovereign rights of our people. We are committed to diffusing the tension in Baho de Masinloc, and this is precisely why we are using all the tools of diplomacy to reach a peaceful resolution. We have been firm in asserting our rights over the Philippine exclusive economic zones, and we believe it is important for the People's Republic of China to adhere to the ASEAN Declaration of Conduct on the South China Sea. We are optimistic that our dialogue will progress favorably. 2 weeks ago, we nominated a very competent and well-respected career diplomat as our new ambassador to China, and we believe this will open up new dialogues on this sensitive issue. We have also supported efforts to draft a new code of conduct in disputed areas in the West Philippine Sea, and we are also continuing to use regional mechanisms like the ASEAN Regional Forum and the East Asia Summit to build an environment conducive to the peaceful settlement of disputes. On this note, allow me to speak briefly on the Philippine government's policy towards the United States and what is called the US-Philippine relation. There is a reason why I emphasize the enduring basis of our country's friendship: democracy and shared values based on equality and mutual respect. No other country in my part of the world has the same shared history with America or is anchored in the same democratic culture as the Philippines. It is not our intention to embroil the United States in military intervention in our region. At the same time, we do recognize that our two nations, with so many other nations, will all share in the peace and the prosperity that comes from the U.S. adding its voice to supporting and guaranteeing a rules-based international system. As the U.S. government undertakes what it calls rebalancing in Asia, many countries in our part of the world do indeed welcome this. But as members of your Congress have said, the challenge for the U.S. is to make this rebalancing meaningful. We recognize that your interests lie in freedom of navigation and unimpeded commerce, as well as a common adherence to fundamental concepts of international law, such as the sovereign equality of all states. These are interests that we, along with many other nations, share. We will work with you to reinforce this crucial principle of sovereign equality of all states, regardless of size or economic might. This was, after all, one of the principal reasons for our shared sacrifice in World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. Finally, we do need to work together with other nations to put in place enduring resolutions to such disputes so that we can avoid similar issues in the future. My government, therefore, is following with great interest the discussions ongoing here in Washington about ratifying the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea. This provides a major impetus to upholding the convention as the defining law governing maritime domain. That the U.S. has called for claimant states to clarify the basis for their claims emphasizes a commitment to ensuring that these claims are based on and adjudicated in accordance with existing international law. The U.S. remains our only treaty ally, our second largest trading partner in 2011, and our second biggest source of foreign direct investments. Our country is supported by our government's strategic development initiative called the Partnership for Growth, which captures the principles of an open government partnership. We have moved forward on all sorts of matters, including the Trade Facilitation and Customs Agreement, otherwise known as the Trade Facilitation Protocol, which we signed at the sidelines of the APEC Summit in Honolulu, and which will simplify customs procedures and improve transparency in customs administration. As you can see, in contrast to the naysaying of the past, by clarifying and sticking to the rules, the true competitive advantage of Filipinos shines through. Many of you know that during truth in our tourism slogan, it's more fun in the Philippines. In the same way, those of you who have experienced working with Filipinos know another enduring truth, that Filipinos work. This is what our government is committed to, guaranteeing that, just like our people, the rules work. It is clear that there are many challenges that await us, and there are issues that we are still in the midst of solving. But we have turned the gears, and once again, we are moving forward along the path to progress. This government is working in earnest for its bosses, the Filipino people. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the context in which we launched the US-Philippine Society. It is a context that strengthens our optimism. It is one that encourages us to work even harder with one another to achieve our collective aspirations for all. This is a great time for us to be a Filipino. We are in the midst of creating a better Philippines for generations to come. And we are hopeful that this will be the lasting legacy of our generation. The work continues, and we are fortunate to have supporters and friends, both at home and abroad, who want to see and are willing to work for a Philippines that shines brighter than ever under the light of day. Whilst looking at the membership of the US-Philippine Society, I noted a lot who have worked in the Philippines or with Filipinos. And I couldn't help but think, did these gentlemen, ladies, join us because there was work unfinished when they had to depart our country? So may we invite you to join us at the beginning of the end of the work